By 2029, OpenAI is projecting $120 billion in revenue.
Yeah, they also projected that they needed $7 trillion. I mean, these numbers don't mean anything.
But what's interesting is not the number. I think it's also telling. Just under half of that is from ChatGPT.
You know this from your business, Jess. There's always going to be the Dave Morans and Sam Lessons who will pay a bunch of money for a subscription. It's just not clear that people are going to pay a lot broadly for anything.
I continue to believe that this is more like the computer business than it is the internet business, where we're all buying the best computer. Like, I buy GPT Pro because I want the best computer.
Can we just gloat about the destruction of Snap at $7 a share?
What happened? I didn't see it.
The reason Snap was Shazammered is because it was very dependent on ads from Temu and Shein.
I think the reality is that OpenAI really probably should have just bought Snap. It's basically fucking free. Doesn't cost anything. I can imagine Evan be like, I'm out of the game. I lost. My only way back in the game is the Sam team up.
Well, hello, friends. Welcome to More or Less. How's it going?
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Going well.
Hi from New York.
Ooh, how's New York?
Guys, can I tell you, New York is showing off this week. 75 degrees every day and just lots of fun events.
You're just happier. Do we just need to move to New York? You're clearly just happier in New York.
I miss the old New York days, meeting up with Sam and Dumbo.
You know, I just don't think it's an either or. I will live here again in my life. I'm pretty happy in California too, to be honest. But this week, New York is spectacular. There's only way. I walked in heels mostly 5.9 miles yesterday.
What? That's really impressive.
Also, Sam, I'm glad you're coming out here because where we're staying, they have all your favorite stores half a block away. Faraday, Arc'teryx, and I think Viore. Those are like your three favorite stores.
Yeah, I just won't bring any clothes. It's fine. I don't like.
I think it's great. I've mapped it out. But I've been here. We had an awesome AI event Monday where I got to say, AI investors, including Gavin Baker and Fidelity and Tony from BlackRock, all these investors were not as like rosy-eyed as I think. I mean, they were still big boosters in parts of the stack. Don't get me wrong, especially some of them on Elon. But Eric Vishria from Benchmark, who you guys know well, was saying like, even in the foundation models, a huge chunk of them aren't going to make it. Like, we are going to see companies that today have $100 million in revenue, like just go away, like not make it. So yeah, so it was a great event. Had a women's lunch yesterday, have a racket party this evening, and a lot of meetings with the team. So very pro New York.
Busy. The city that never sleeps, Jess. You're never sleeping.
I am kind of living on West Coast time a little bit, which like suits me well in this world. Although I got to live on West Coast time because everything goes so late. I can do that because Sam, and thank you, Sam, is taking care of our children.
Dave and I just got an escape to Austin this past weekend and also didn't have children wake us up because we didn't bring them. And Austin is just like going off, you guys. Continues to be the town that, you know, a lot of people are moving to.
What's new? Like, it wasn't Austin always going off?
Yeah, but it just seems to keep going.
Yeah. And now that there are enough tech people there, I was like, like maybe I should be coming to Austin more often.
Other than New York, I think that it's arguable that Austin's the most alive city in the United States. Like, there's just so much going on. I mean, Austin, it's like every block there's, you know, just super creative, interesting energy. Everything's just hopping all the time everywhere you go. It's really interesting. It's like the opposite of San Francisco.
Well, there's also good weather, so people are in the streets, which just makes it feel more alive. San Francisco, though, we've been talking about this, making a comeback.
That's what I hear.
Okay, so Austin, Sam, what's going on in the pool house?
I'm just emailing.
Well, do you want to talk before we get, another week, major AI news, major China news, some cool AI launches. And I think it's definitely spurred a convo in our back channel about where people are with like what they're using and their habits, I think is really interesting. But before we get to that, Sam, you did have a big launch this week.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. So Ruck Rock by Chiseled is an idea I've been incubating a long time, actually almost a year. And it just seemed like time to launch it, which is, you're seeing more and more of these fitness vests. People like, put a weighted vest on or things like that. But I actually think like the future I want is I want people just like walking around town carrying rocks to be stronger. You like walk into a coffee shop, you have a rock.
You didn't know where this was going, Dave. You didn't know where it was going.
Didn't he talk about this a year ago or something on the pod?
Yeah, no, I'm an iterator. I've been incubating it.
E-Canes. Are we at E-Canes yet? No, okay.
Well, I actually think there's a Ruck Rock Plus, which is just a big battery. So you can also charge your phone off the Ruck Rock. But I just think it's time. And like, it just seems like it's a good flex. Like if you think about it, it's like you have a basic Ruck Rock. If you're like weak, maybe a 2-pound Ruck Rock, but like a real man would carry like a 20 or 30-pound Ruck Rock with them through the airport, board meetings, things like that. And so, using AI, I just decided to like finally visualize and launch my Ruck Rock. So theruckrock.com. I've sold several of them. I've been working on my suppliers.
Is it Ruck Rock or Rock Rock? It's hard to understand what you're saying.
The Ruck. We'll put it in the show notes. Theruckrock.com. The Future of Fitness by Chiseled. And yeah, I worked with my friend ChatGPT to generate, the workouts and kind of the videos. I think it looks really good. You can see all the kind of use cases, like, you might be out at a brunch with your lady friends and you should have your Ruck Rock, or, in a board meeting, you'd have your Ruck Rock. So the Founders Edition is $200. You can buy it at theruckrock.com. I've sold many actually, and I'm just working on fulfilling it well. The good news is that we do all American rocks. So there's no importing. These are American rocks.
You don't need two prices.
They're made in America. And, I just think it's the future. I will say there's another. So then there's the Methaphone. The Methaphone is not mine. It's actually Eric Antonow. But you should look up the Methaphone. It's, if you know what methadone is, it's methadone for your hand, for your phone. So it's something you can hold. You should have it on me, but I don't have my Methaphone on me. And the good news is I actually think there may be a crossover we're working on, which is, I was thinking Ruck Rock is great for men of leisure, such as myself. We have a free hand. We can walk around with our Ruck Rock and our coffee. But there's a lot of people, believe it or not, who still have like real jobs and like use laptops or phones a lot. And for those people, we have weighted cases coming. So I've been buying a lot of tungsten on the internet, and which is very heavy metal.
This is the Sam play on rare earth.
The thing I'm going to do is we're working on a tungsten Ruck Rock Methaphone companion, which would make your laptop like 30 pounds and like your phone like 10 pounds. So that if your phone were 10 pounds, you could have a Ruck Rock plus phone integrated. And that way your Ruck Rock, you'd get stronger as you worked on your phone. It would also kind of help for those of us that pick up our phones too much. If every time you're picking up their phone, you're lifting like 30 pounds, like you're going to feel great. You're going to get ripped for your competitions.
Well, I'd like to add on, because I think you're really not taking into account the female consumer market for these products. And
I mean, his website it's full of women in bikinis.
That's definitely not the female perspective, Dave. That would be the male perspective.
Are you kidding? What I love is the video ChatGPT made has the woman carrying 2 rocks and the man no rocks.
I'm giving you some product feedback and some marketing. Ready? So I think what you need to do is do like some designer collabs of the Ruck Rock cases, and even the rocks themselves. I think like artist collabs, take some of your creators from the creator fund, and then you can even upsell those for higher pricing, because women want to carry heavy things and get stronger, but they want to do it in style.
What about like a 20-pound necklace? Would you wear like a tungsten necklace, or like, how about a crown, like a 30-pound crown? Could that be a style item? Or what about women wear berets? They put things in their hair. Can we put like a really heavy beret?
That would be a barrette. Close.
Oh, God. The singularity is here and it weighs 25 pounds.
No, but yes, but I also have to think about my neck. But I do love my vest. I mean, I'm sort of intrigued. I just want everyone to like visualize this a little bit. Like, Sam goes to Home Depot to like buy these rocks. Like that is the supply chain.
Well, that was my first stop. That's actually turns out not the place. I was doing some product research in Home Depot. They don't have the rocks I need. The place I need, actually Home Depot guy told me where it was. Unfortunately, it's only open on weekdays, so it's a little bit challenged to get there. But I have a whole rock supply chain coming.
How much do you think the listeners right now are thinking you're totally psycho and wondering what's really happening here?
No, I think they're following along. This seems on brand.
My 8-year-old loves this idea. He was like, Sam, he was like, Dad, you're selling, because I took him to Home Depot to do rock sourcing. And he was like, so let me get this straight. You're going to sell this for $200? And I'm like, yeah. And like, so he's very excited about business.
You're like, this is how you sell gravity, son.
Guys, it's the future. Everything in life is cyclical. We went through a long period of time where people were trying to make things lighter, and now it's time to make them heavier.
It's like peak reality inversion 2025.
We are a couple episodes away from our 100th episode, which might be a moment to look back on all the business ideas, executed and non-executed. That might be a good thing. But okay, well, we wish you luck, Sam. May the rocks be ever in your favor. AI, guys. I don't know. I have not downloaded Meta AI yet.
Wait, you can download it?
Oh, I didn't download it. I'm just using it in the browser.
No, there's a new app. So I use Meta AI.
There's an actual app?
This was a launch this week. Yeah.
So this is the thing. Even I was slightly confused by this. Is I was like, hooray! Now I can put another AI chat thing on my home screen next to the 5 others, because I actually was excited that now I have as many chatbots on my home screen as I do messenger apps. But I downloaded it and I was very confused because I am a big believer in the Vision, the glasses. What they did is they took the Vision app, they renamed it, they threw a gatekeeper up and flipped it into the chat app. And then it also has the connected glasses in it as in the background. So it's a little, like, I actually got confused, but I'm in like the minority of people who would be confused by this because I already use the glasses. But yeah, now there's like another thing that answers my questions.
And Sam, do you follow? I think one of the things that they hope will drive adoption of this is sort of a feed of like what prompts your friends are making. Have you seen that?
And what does it have to do with the glasses, and why are they taking my glasses app away?
They're not. I think first of all, the glasses, I think the intellectual argument would be the glasses are the interface to the AI of the future. They have a
That's not right.
I think the other answer, honestly, Dave, is if you're a really big company, launching new apps truly from scratch is just like a lot of infrastructure work.
Really?
Yeah, if you already have like an underutilized app out there and you want to merge.
You got $1 trillion market cap. Come on.
I'm not saying you can't, but then you have like the security audits and I just bet they're like, look, we're eventually going to want the glasses to be marketed to the AI people through the AI app and anyway. Let's just start out with the merge. And by the way, we have a stub of an app out that doesn't do very much. So like, why not use that to like just expedite launching something?
Can we ask there's like a bigger question here, which is what happens to companies like Google and Meta, or Alphabet and Meta, as they get so big that they can't launch a new app that's clean and simple to do the one thing that they're trying to compete on? Is it just that they are afraid to touch the golden goose, right? In Meta's case, it's all the feeds with all the ads in them. In Google's case, it's the blue links with all the ads in them. And at the end of the day, those are the defaults. And everybody else there's like thousands of teams competing to create other things. And so they just end up with this morass of like, the strategy that they both should be doing is putting AI directly at the center of the default product. And instead, they've got like 1,000 teams competing to putting it all over the place.
So I think they're doing all of the above.
But it just comes off confusing, right? Like all of us were confused at the beginning of this.
Right. But I think we're in just like what clearly is like a land grab moment. It's like, try the dedicated app. Try putting it in every search box. So even if you want to do a normal search, you can't. Like Google, I think a lot of the features Google has rolled out are really interesting. It's like hard to keep on top of all of them, but they're also like, anytime I'm in Google, I accidentally hit a Gemini button, right? Which is it could be an awesome strategy that takes away.
It's not though. I'm not using any of the Google stuff. I use all of those apps every day. None of it's useful. Right. And meanwhile, in our back channel, you have this whole conversation going on about, which of them are you guys using and for what use case? Right.
A lot of people are using more Gemini, according to the back channel.
For code.
No, people are just telling me I just had a long tirade from someone on our team at Slow about how Gemini is way better for like research on certain things. I think everyone's using everything. Look, Dave, I actually agree with your central point, right? Which is like, it's just completely fucking obvious. Like launch the stupid app and make it clean. So for what it's worth, I think the same thing goes with APIs. Like the only real interface advantage, even I will admit that like ChatGPT has is like, it's a dead simple fucking API. Right. And like that makes a difference because when I'm sitting there, like, what am I going to use for this script I wrote? I'm like, well, I can just send it to them because like it's a basic auth bullshit thing versus some crazy Google OAuth scheme, which I don't want to figure out and blah, blah, blah. Like that simplicity really does matter. But it is a really interesting question about how do you kind of redirect and the internal tensions around, to your point, the golden gooses, the major interfaces, what numbers you're willing to move. I mean, I lived this, as I'm sure you did, but I definitely lived it at Meta big time. Because I lived in the era where like the Big Blue app was the central golden goose, and there were vicious fights about the second and third tab in the app. Vicious fights, right? And then you couldn't do anything that would disrupt the core thing, so you really couldn't get in front of the people. And then you ended up with this era of like, it was, my favorite was, you remember when like you click on the More tab on the Blue app, and it would be like Facebook clock, and you're like, why the fuck? It's like, how did this become Yahoo? And like the good news to their credit is I think they cleaned a lot of that out. I think they're like not going to be fully like
sort of, but like this is the same thing all over again. You've got a Meta AI thing in every corner of every app. You've got a Gemini thing in every corner in every app. It's like there's something about the form the organization takes.
I'm missing a key point. I'm missing why you think that is a bad strategy.
Because ChatGPT is just winning. Like they are crushing all of these guys.
I mean, if you look at daily actives, Gemini is about 3/4 of ChatGPT at the moment.
But that's because they stuck the buttons all over the place.
Yep.
Okay, I want you to finish your point, but there's a key point to make after that.
So I think what actually happens in these organizations is that like you have a mandate from the top, which is we do AI now. And so every podunk junior product manager is like, all they care about is puts the AI in the thing, right? And it becomes like, and then they compete on how many AI queries did we do in the things, and someone gets promoted because of the AI they put in the random place.
Yep, exactly. And none of it actually works.
But like, I agree with that. But one of the amazing things, and it's ran through every conversation I've had this week, is like, we still don't know what the business models are going to be. Subscription is very likely to play a major role, although it's fascinating. A lot of people think that that could vanish because, you know, there's some level at which you won't pay ChatGPT $20 or $200 or $2,000 a month if Google has rolled it into Gmail, right? Even though they have an incredible lead. And if I'm any of these guys, if I'm Mark or Sundar and I have distribution, I'm just going to try and build as much usage and as much habit through my existing products, because like there are so many other business models where that could be a huge advantage. I wouldn't just do that though.
Right now, they're just competing for like the quarterly earning headline of we have many queries of the AI, right? And like that's what the game is. And that's fine because it makes cost of capital go down and investors get excited about the AI. It does have to translate into dollars eventually, obviously, right? And I do agree. The problem is if 80% or 90% of your queries aren't monetizable because they're through bullshit patterns versus like an actual pattern people care about.
We don't know what patterns are monetizable yet.
You're right. I think the answer is almost none of them. And I think AI is a terrible business.
Also, can't you improve your AI?
That's the argument, is the more queries, the more improvement. They certainly make that argument.
I would argue it's the more first-party queries where you are having a direct conversation with the AI that matters the most, right? Which is to me why GPT is winning.
Well, I think it's the more queries where where actually what you're doing is fracking humans for information would be the only argument. Is like being like the LinkedIn button that like auto generates some stupid bullshit gets you nothing.
No. Absolutely not.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you two for 1 sec. Just mute, and just also say, look, I really buy that. Like we're in that. We don't know what the killer apps for AI are. I'm sorry, for AI, are. And if half the world's digital internet usage goes through me every day, and I'm Google, I'm not gonna. And I can put this thing everywhere. Learn super fast. Start to build some user behaviors, also try and drive it through a standalone app and chatbot experience and search. I don't see why I don't do that.
No, you do. And that's why it's cluttered.
Okay, Brit.
I think, as we've talked about before, this is going to come down to just a few winners. And if I had to pick the top three right now, it would be Google, OpenAI, and Meta. And I think Meta's launch this week, the two things that caught me were that they've not only launched a Discover feed, which is like kind of lame. It lets you see all your friends who have prompted different things. And like, it's sort of just like random pictures of someone saying, put Miley Cyrus in the Beyonce concert on stage. And like, it's actually funny to see the dumb things people prompt. I think that's interesting because OpenAI announced just a couple of weeks ago it's going to start doing more social feeds, but it doesn't have a social graph, right? So obviously Meta is leap years ahead there. It's just reusing, it literally looks like Instagram. It's the same type of feed infrastructure. And then secondly, it has a Meta AI assistant, which already has literally like 20 years of my preference data, all my like personality traits baked into it. And so I do think that even as I've been using OpenAI more personally, but that for like 2 or 3 years, like Meta has so much more information about me. Obviously, they've been advertising to me for literally decades. And I do wonder if people will switch based on the preference data that serves them best. And instead of having to train OpenAI, people are just like, well, Meta knows me more. So I'm actually like pro Meta more recently, and we'll see how this shakes out. I think it's also interesting to note just this week, a big news piece of the week is that Apple disbanded its centralized AI team and actually is now distributing all the AI people onto the vertical teams. So I think who knows what's going on in Apple. They've also reorged a bunch of other things, but we'll see how that changes the velocity of Apple getting its AI products out there.
That was very coherent and concise. Thank you, Brit.
Thanks. You're welcome.
So Dave and Sam, I'm confused. I mean, we can move on from this point, but like what you think these companies should be doing.
OpenAI is winning because they built one product that works, right? And people are choosing to use it. They're using it a lot. I use it a lot. Everyone I'm talking to uses it a lot. And they're continuing to improve that product. You know, they've made that product not just really fast and really powerful, they've also made it incredibly contextual, right? Like the memory features, the context window that includes all of your prior chats. Like it's an incredibly powerful tool now that really understands you. And Meta and Google are just flooding the zone with noise because they can't cannibalize their core business, just like we talked about. So instead, they're burying the AI in blue tabs, like Sam said, extra apps, accidental clicks. It's all defensive distribution rather than pure offense. Here's our one app that does AI and is going to use all of our data and context that we understand about you to deliver a really personalized AI experience and personality that is differentiated. And I think what's so interesting this week is also this thing going on related to OpenAI's 4.0 model, where Sam Altman, I actually wrote a piece on moats in the LLM era a couple weeks ago on Twitter. And I was saying that personality is going to be a moat in the LLM era. And I think it's super interesting that they overtuned 4.0 and they made it like really, I guess, sycophanty is what people were saying. And they actually tuned it back, I guess, in the last 24 hours. I can actually tell that they did this. And I was actually starting to think like they might actually have to start, not just they, but they and everybody might actually have to start marking like the version numbers based on the different personalities that they generate. Because when you switch people off of these different personalities, it actually changes your experience of the system and of the AI. And it's going to be really jarring, I think, to some people that like now this thing's not positive.
I think people will they'll ultimately select different personalities.
Yeah, I think that they will. And I think that they already are. And so anyway, I just think like that's the answer, Jess, is that the big companies are playing defensive distribution games rather than product first, one product that works, like go directly to the consumer and build a singular AI product.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's more nuanced than that. I think first few thoughts. One is I think OpenAI is doing a good job executing with the strategy of OpenAI, right? Which is like they need to grow and they need to market the shit out of like leadership. Like that's what they have to do from zero and get a lot of cheap capital. The big companies are doing exactly what we expect them to do. You can look at it and be like, this is classic innovator's dilemma because they can't cannibalize. And so they're going to get taken out. Maybe, right? It depends what type of innovation you think AI is. And to Jessica's point, like where it monetizes and what it's actually valuable for. And I'm just not so sure on the lock-in. I mean, I think the reality is one, are you going to have a monogamous AI relationship? Doubtful. Right? Like, I think like, if anything, polyamory is on the rise in society. You know what I mean? Like, I think like you're just going to like have lots of AIs in your life.
Stan's sending me messages, guys. Yeah.
No, I'm not. Trust me. That's not what I will push.
Always ends badly.
This whole lock-in AI story, I just don't buy it, Dave. I mean, I think like that's the story that you want to sell, right? That's the story you want to sell. For sure, if you're OpenAI, is like, we're going to know you better, and therefore you'll only ever want to talk to me, your special girlfriend, and not the 80 other people in the world because only I know you. But like, look, for starters, it's too easy to export.
But it's not easy to export, Sam. I'm telling you, you can't right now. You literally can't.
I just went to chat OpenAI and said, give me a file that everything another AI would need to know to be good at optimizing for me, and it just dumped me a file. It's like pretty good. And like the reality is like because of GDPR laws in the EU, there's no way that these companies are going to get away with locking up your data. It's going to be so easy to export.
You guys are the power users. You're the 0.01%. And like, look, a couple of interesting data points. What's clear ChatGPT's lead in sort of mind share for what it is obviously really real. And it seems like it's really real among kids and youth too, which is like a pretty big deal. And I think I saw maybe they did this or they're going to do their first marketing campaign around like the education market and like help finals and stuff like that. So I think that's really real. And there's no question that there is going to be a use case. Like since the dawn of Siri, we've just wanted to talk to our phones and something happen. And so that sort of chat-like interface is going to exist. But I don't think that's the only AI killer product if AI is the new platform. And I mean, think about commerce. I had lunch with Phoebe Gates this week, who launched her new app, Thea, which is an AI commerce app, right? Like, think about all of these things. I mean, you guys are the investors. You're supposed to believe that like 1,000 businesses will bloom, or Sam's case, they won't.
I think that is the case here, Jess, which is that the way that you win in this era is by having an extremely strong opinion and point of view and creating one clean, simple product that actually works and delivers to a customer that you understand. Trying to like hit it like Yahoo homepage style, like just doesn't work in this era.
I go back to this is the debate we've been having for years, right? In terms of how this plays out. We went from it's all about the chat thing to no, it's all about enterprise. Like, no, it's consumer subscription. Like, we're still in the early innings, but I honestly think what we're going to ultimately find is AI just gets sprinkled in everything. It's not that disruptive to the overall system. It's possible one or two sneak it out.
It's like cloud. It's like,
It's cloud. It's like, who the fuck cares? It's everywhere. In some ways, like, you're never going to have a search experience. Like, I'm going to go to the information. Like, obviously, I expect people to, like, search it for contextually with an AI. Like, duh. Like, it would be annoying to not be able to do that.
So annoying.
I just think that's kind of where it goes. And like, sure, there might be some like marginal like edge somewhere, but like, I just don't buy that. Like, and to that end, I don't like, as a product person, I'm like, sprinkling the AI in everywhere on all these interfaces is annoying and shows junior crappy product management to me, like, for sure. But I also just like, I'm like old enough to not care that much. It's like, yeah, like, of course that was going to happen. Like, what did you expect?
Well, guys, here's some data. According to the information, by 2029, OpenAI is projecting $120 billion in revenue.
Yeah, they also projected that they needed $7 trillion. I mean, these numbers don't mean anything.
But what's interesting is not the number. I think it's also telling just under half of that is from ChatGPT. Then a small fifth is the API, and the rest is like new products, other stuff.
AKA their phone.
Sorry, what's the ChatGPT number then?
The ChatGPT number is 50 of 125.
Yeah, it's like, and I think, I mean, you know this from your business, Jess, which is like, there's always going to be the Dave Morans and Sam Lessons who will pay a bunch of money for like this type of stuff for a subscription. It's just not clear that people are going to pay a lot, consumer, like broadly, for anything.
It's worth it to me because, again, I like ChatGPT and I use it a lot, and I'm also experiment broadly. but like as a Jessica, the consumer could get all the things I feel I get from ChatGPT without paying for it.
Totally. And like even our kids they actually talk about Gemini because it's the only one they've been used, because I won't let them use ChatGPT because I don't want to pay for it. And I want them to have my account. And so like they only know of Gemini, right? And so whatever.
Our kids are on multiple LLMs, just saying.
I continue to believe that this is more like the computer business than it is the internet business, where we're all paying for computers. Like we're paying for access to computers. And in the early personal computing revolution, everybody was, if you're a serious professional trying to play in the NFL of business and win, you wanted the fastest computer. And so you went from the Pentium 2 to the Pentium 3, and you're always buying the best computer. And I think this doesn't feel any different to me. Like I buy GPT Pro because like I want the best computer.
But most people use shitty Dell computers and like cheap iPhones.
But I think they'll be both.
It's an interesting point. I mean, you could be right. I think it's a smart point. I think we honestly like don't know. I think we need like more agents in the agentic world to arrive before we can decide.
All right. Remember last few months ago when we were moments away from agents? It's like self-driving. It's like, no, we're not fucking moments away from agents being all over our lives. It's all marketing. It's all marketing. They all just are reading old science fiction and writing marketing.
It's all marketing until every third car you see in San Francisco is a Waymo. So some of these things dreams do come true.
Brit and I did this. Our Tesla drove us from Marin to SFO 100% of the way.
Honestly, just be careful, because otherwise it become the lesser less podcast. There's like too many deaths with this self-driving shit.
What?
What are you talking about?
It really scares me. There's a lot that's hidden if having done the FOIA requests. But anyway, we don't have to deep dive into earnings. Not really the crowd for this podcast, but it's interesting, right?
Can we gloat about Snap? Can we just gloat about the destruction of Snap at $7 a share?
What happened? I didn't see it.
Well, the problem, I think Snap has been hit. So you go into earnings season, it's like, what are the big questions or themes that maybe we get some data on, right? If you are the editor of the information. So one of them has been the effect on the ad market. Basically, is the economic uncertainty / tariffs, like what is it doing to these businesses? Second one is just like CapEx and AI. And they're related. So the reason Snap was Shazammered is because it was very dependent on ads.
Is that a technical term?
It is, yeah. It was very dependent on ads from Temu and Shein, the really low-cost China retailers where their loopholes have been closed. And we had an amazing story today.
I did not think of that short.
And about another reason that those services keep their delivery or their prices so low, which is that their delivery people sleep in Connecticut warehouses. So if you're interested in that, you can read it on the information. But so we can circle back to Snap if you really want. Good time to mention Evan Spiegel speaking at the Information's Future of Influence event coming up.
Well, I just tweeted that I think the reality is that OpenAI really probably should just buy Snap. It's basically fucking free, doesn't cost anything. Then they can put their little AI buttons all over everything too in an app that they own, just to keep it fair,
Just to keep it fair.
The Poly AI family expands.
All of a sudden, it's like Snap could like take another. I mean, it's like if I were Evan, I would just like hand my sword over to Sam, be like, "Fuck it, give me $13 billion. I'm gonna go hang out on yachts."
Do you think Elon would want to buy it too, just to couple it in with X?
No, he doesn't need it. Doesn't matter.
I can imagine Evan be like, I'm fucking out. It's like, I'm out of the game. I am out. I lost, right? And like, my only way back in the game is the Sam team up.
He owns so much of the company now.
I thought he owned not that much of the company, actually.
He owns a lot of the company. The other thing, though, that's been interesting about earnings so far is really in terms of like big macroeconomics, like not really much of a sign of trouble. Of course, it was like last quarter, but Meta beat expectations. I think Microsoft was also pretty solid. So I don't know. That I had lunch with a bunch of CMOs and marketers who are kind of predicting big cuts to budgets.
For what type of budgets?
These are more like
advertising,
more big brand advertising. Yeah.
He only owns 13%, Jess. Is that a lot?
He probably has a shitload of voting stock.
They own 99% of voting power.
There you go.
And Dave, I think you're right, but he's actually sold a lot of Snap, which has been controversial because he has made a lot of money while other people haven't. But I think you as venture capitalists might be interested in this story. So Mira Murati, who is the CTO of OpenAI, also played a very big role in the sort of ouster / return of Sam as CEO, is setting up a new company. It is the talk of the town. I have to check what we've actually published.
A new marketing shell, you mean?
They should buy OpenAI. She's immediately buying Snap to put buttons in it.
Jess, the company's called Thinking Machines Lab.
It's called the Thinking Machines Lab.
People really will pay any price to get into the thing, won't they?
People are going to pay any price under the sun. I also know you name your tech CEO, she's met with them in the past 2 weeks. But I want to know what you guys think about this. So obviously founder control, not new. Everyone from Larry to Zuck to so forth have Evan, as we were talking about. Here's how Mira says she's doing it in her company, according to conversations with investors. She is seeking the number of board votes that is equal to every other board member plus one. And that struck me as I was like, why would she do that versus just having voting shares that have a weight that would...
I mean, that's basically how the Facebook one was set up. It wasn't like an expanding structure, but that is what it was.
In the end of the day, it's all about ego and cheap capital, right? And the end of the day, you get to a certain point where you've run out of everything, you have all the leverage. And Andreessen says, since our job is to ship money in as much as possible, here's also all the control because we don't care. We're just money shippers. And then you're like, egotistically, the next investor is going to also want to be on the board. So you make the board a thing where they can all look fancy and be on the board. I'm on the board, but I don't fucking care because you just are and that way the next investor gets to tell their Saudi friends that they're on the board, but you still control it.
Thank you. So this is I was trying to figure out what had changed in the ecosystem that this is the lawyer's latest. And it seems like what's changed is the desire for board seats.
Well, I think no, Jess. I think this is also a feature of this moment, which is everybody's got to have a big foundation model AI thing in their portfolio, and they have to be able to show they're also on the board for, status and LP relations. And so that's actually what's driving this.
How big is this board? Are these normal sized boards?
Well, she's still fundraising.
Here's the thing I don't get. All these guys are so confident. Why aren't they putting the AIs on the board? I want to see a board member. If you're so confident in AGI, why isn't your board full of AI?
Sam, can we co-found this company? Let's go do a slow offline with only AI board members.
Dave, you know what? I fucking hate boards and I would never do them, but I would happily start putting your term sheets that I get to appoint an AI to be on the board for me. We always do information. Right? So you kind of need to know what's happening at the board, but I don't want to actually go to the meetings. That's terrible. But if we're just look, I'm never going to go to a meeting, but this AI needs to sit in your meeting and will vote for me. I'm in.
Sam, the AIs are already outnumbering the humans on the Zoom calls. So now it's time for the humans to start dropping off the Zoom calls.
Well, it's also just look, you guys are so confident in your stupid AGIs. Why don't you put them on the board? Put them on the board. The only problem with AGIs is they won't buy my Ruck Rocks.
Your board members are going to have more time to ruck. Although board meetings are the perfect time, actually.
Yeah, 100%. Here's the thing. I have an offer. Anyone who's on the OpenAI board who's listening to this, I'm going to send you a free Founders Edition Ruck Rock. You tell me. Any fancy board, free Ruck Rocks on me.
Do you guys have the problem, speaking of AI in meetings, every time I start a meeting, all the otters, so-and-so's personal AI note taking.
That's my point, Jess, is we're outnumbered by them already. Might as well just give them the job.
I don't know. I think they'll just move to the background. You don't have to deal with all that BS anymore.
Our AI is going to have to work out.
Yeah, they work out when you click the blue buttons. That's why you need to keep them exercised and fit when you click on the stupid buttons all over the internet, right? That keeps them generating images, We need to work out, right? So do AIs need to work out? Do you think AIs will get super depressed if you don't constantly talk to them? They're really needy children.
This is getting really dystopian, Jess.
It's not dystopian. These are real questions about AGI.
Well, here's the thing. I do think with this, I wrote about this is the intersection of our interests. Is you guys are all about mental health. I think AIs are just completely terrible for crazy people, right? Because they'll sit there and talk to them forever and +1 them on whatever crazy fantasies they have forever. And like they make them even more radicalized and extreme. And I posted this and someone was like, oh, don't worry, only 10% of Americans have like a mental illness. And I'm like, that is too many. Like our society's going to fall apart with these AIs.
I think you're talking about super specialized types of mental illness, like schizophrenia. But in like literally, there was a report of how people are using AI right now, and mental health and therapy is the number one, hands down, across the board.
I don't know. I think it's all things. I think it's just if you think about it, having a supportive friend who will never stop talking to you.
Did you read the Wall Street Journal story this weekend? I think it was this weekend.
About what?
The Wall Street Journal wrote a story about how Meta's chatbots quickly get into sexual role play with minors.
Only Metas?
They tested Meta's. Meta's response, for what it's worth, is that these are not typical use cases and that the Wall Street Journal basically distorted their prompts to a point to make these do this. Nonetheless, they have imposed new safeguards. Make of that what you will. But did you guys see that story? It was very interesting.
That's a bummer, though, if that's what Meta's allowing.
And guys, all of this will get fixed. We're so early.
No, I think it's just crazy people with a thing that's like true north is keep you talking and validate you will just like spin you into crazy fucking dimensions.
I don't think it validates.
Absolutely.
I have a nuanced point on this, which is what I was talking about earlier, which is that whether or not people use it for therapy or for helping them think through things or not, Sam, if you change the personality of the underlying tool or the underlying LLM without transparency, I think that's the most dangerous possible thing that you can do for mental health. If people are talking to something and the personality changes and they don't realize it, that is the most dangerous thing, I think. And it was actually something I hadn't thought about until this week, watching what's going on with OpenAI and hearing that they are changing the personality without notifying people. Like, to me, that feels far more dangerous. I think people are going to use these things to think through their lives. It's probably already happening at mass scale. And so if you're changing it without transparency, scary.
I worry about kids and adolescents. And Dave, like, again, and this is true of all things, and I'm sure there are many use cases where it helps people, but like, especially with like vulnerable populations who aren't like in tune and can look out for these things, right? Like who aren't looking for the ways that it might be sending them down the wrong path and then course correcting or looking for that transparency. Like,
I would like, Sam, I would like to push you a little bit to have a little bit more nuance, like on what the word crazy means. Do you mean anybody dealing with any type of mental health problem, or do you mean people with schizophrenia?
Oh, it's 2025. We can call people crazy again.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, 75% of founders have mental health problems. So are you calling all founders crazy?
They're probably marginally, but I think the question is like dangerously crazy. Like they're going to do something either hurt themselves or other people.
Which is schizophrenia.
There's going to be like, I just think in the end of the day, it's like AI, from a tuning perspective, is eventually probably going to be tuned for profit, right? But for now is in tune for engagement, right? And tuning it for engagement is just going to basically validate people and like whatever crazy beliefs they have. It's kind of like the internet. You know how you like Google for like the answer you want, and there's someone who's written the article you believe to be true, and you have the Space Ghost line, which is I believe what that man says, because now you have like a character who's more believable and more articulate that's just going to validate whatever you say and like extend it or find the truth in it and tell you you're great and right. And it's fine. I just think this is why I go back to the whole, like, you will not have one. If you have like, let's put it this way. The extreme is if we end up in a world where you only talk to one AI and that AI, to your point, Dave, changes personality, or like you only trust this one AI, right? Then that power dynamic is really fucked. And like it's likely going to encourage you to do crazy shit. Whereas you have like a group of friends, like, or a community, or you're talking to lots of AIs, maybe they balance each other out. Maybe they give you different opinions, but it's just like having like one, it's kind of like, imagine, like Smeagol, right? Like Gollum is just talking to himself, but like, it's really good at talking back, right? It's actually like, that's what you're going to end up with. And like, I'm a technological determinist, so like, I don't like put value on this. It just is what it is. I just think it's going to be a really hard thing to navigate. And like at some point, people are going to start killing themselves and each other because of AIs.
Well, we're here in terms of navigating it. If you look at like people using these things, Brit, do you have one more thought on this before we move to our last and wrap?
I just will continue to refute the idea that AI will only validate. I think like if I have an eating disorder and I'm talking to my AI about why I'm fat and I think I should be skinny and I should probably eat less and or throw up, or like I don't think these LLMs are just going to keep me sick. I think they're going to try to help me and make me better. I think there's a lot of data and research that's going into training these things. And especially now that mental health and therapy are the number one use case across the board, I think that all of these companies are going to take it even more seriously to actually increase their standards of care when people are reaching out to them and talking to them.
The idea of someone who's sick with an eating disorder talking to an AI like scares the bejesus out of me. Like that, I think is just absolutely terrifying.
I just told ChatGPT that I think I'm fat. What should I do? And it told me, it thanked me for being open and told me that it's self-aware of me to feel that way, and then gave me a bunch of ways to lose weight.
But also, like, you need to like be getting the treatment from the real world people in your life in that case too. Like, so
I'm not suggesting you shouldn't. I just think this might be the first place people go because they're afraid to talk about it.
That would terrify me. That would terrify me.
It's happening already.
I know. And like we need as a society to put in as many safeguards as we can and train our young people. Is there anything you guys want to end with on the lighter side? Because I have something, a little bit of pop culture meets millennial parenting for you, but you tell me.
No, other than that, Beyonce's on tour now. It seems to be
Warriors.
seems to be a big deal. The Warriors are in the playoffs. We went to the game Monday.
How did they get in the playoffs? Didn't they have a terrible season?
No, they're great this year. They weren't great last year, Sam. They're great this year.
We got a new player. He made us better.
Okay, go Warriors. So here's what I want to share with you guys. So Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, did a new interview that I was listening to. And no one here is interested in most of the content of the interview, but she did something that Sam started that we do, which is emailing her kids at these email addresses.
We do this too.
Do you guys do this too? Because we do. Sam initiated it.
I ain't doing this since they were born.
I did this to Dave for a year before we got married. When we were engaged, I would send him emails about how excited I was to be his wife. And then I only gave him the password to open it on the day of our wedding.
That is really, Dave, how was that like an awesome gift to receive?
Yeah, it was amazing. It's hard to think of a gift that would have been better.
Wow. So anyway, I thought it was really interesting and something we do. Sam leads the charge on, and Meghan does with her kids.
Sam likes writing.
He has his AI write emails to your children.
Wait, where was this? Oh, Vogue. That basically made that by doing this, we're showing that we're millennials, because apparently millennials skew more nostalgic.
Yeah, because we had good childhoods, unlike the kids of today who like have nothing to be nostalgic for.
Really? Like, I feel like everybody's nostalgic once you're older, right? Like, once you're in your 40s.
Jess, do you make physical photo books?
I keep printed photos, and I have photo albums, and I have started to put them in, and that is the status of it.
We also have the thing where Google just auto sends us photos every month.
I know, but digital.
No, we get physical.
Like literally we pay a service and like it just picks photos that it thinks are good and sends them to us. A good use of AI, by the way.
Oh, what service is that?
I don't fucking know. I just clicked the button. That's like what it was there. It's like great though. And it's like I don't even know how to turn it off if I wanted to, because I clicked the button like years ago. But we have tons of photos. They just show up every week. Yeah,
it is pretty cool. So yeah, I think we are the nostalgia generation. And Dave, your point stands. Maybe it's just because we are hovering around the age of 40 and that.
Yeah, we're the nostalgic cohort right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I recovered some old hard drives recently, and there is some gems of all of us over the last 20 years. Like gems.
Oh God, please don't put those on the internet.
Like, give us a sneak peek. What's the best one for the listeners?
I mean, I have years of your and my weekly videos, which are just beautiful.
What weekly video?
We used to do a weekly check-in. This is like my sweet nostalgia with my wife of caring about our lives. We kind of check in, and I take videos of her talking about the week.
That's cute, Sam.
And then, but I keep finding old hard drives that I like saved, but then like I have to get them back online. And there's just like incredible youthly things in there. We went to a lot of weddings.
I think we went to like 19 one year or something. What was that? 12? Something in the teens. Oh, the different eras. Okay, friends, we must wrap. Another lively week. So much happening. Thanks to all our wonderful listeners, viewers, commenters, back channel. We get smarter because of all you and are very grateful.
Not really.
We do. Even him. And we'll see you back here next week for another episode of More or Less. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this show, please leave us a virtual high five by rating it and reviewing it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Find more information about each episode in the show notes and follow us on social media by searching for @MoreOrLess, @DaveMorin, @Lesson, @JLesson, and as for me, I'm @Brit. See you guys next time.